안녕하십니까? Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. 어서 오세요. 참석해 주셔서 감사합니다.
To record this interview.
별로 안 좋아하지만 아들이 자꾸 하려니까.
So actually, this is not my first time trying to get this interview. I've asked multiple times.
Okay, let's go ahead and pause that at this time now. So, in order to model that vulnerability, I wanted to create my own oral history so I could share with the students, so the students would have a chance to also collect their own oral history as well. And after I heard her story, and once again, similar to Esther, it's a story of survival. It's a story of resilience. It's a story that, helps me to be strong today and also connect with my mother even more. I'm so glad that I had a chance to have a recording like this. And then I went to this location here, the Korean Bell of Friendship, and had a chance to say thank you to my mother for her migration story. So thank you for your migration. Thank you for everything that you experienced to come to the United States. I appreciate you so much. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to do that. So this is something that we're going to give the students the opportunity to do as the first part of this course. But I'm kind of curious, maybe many of you have something like this. How many of you have something like this already? Or if you don't, then say you don't have something like this. You don't have, do you have a video of something like this of your own family, someone in your own family? Go ahead and type that in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing a lot of responses there. So I'm going to think, though, that a lot of families maybe don't have something like this. Yeah, Peace, thank you for letting us know you don't. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that, because I think a lot of us don't. And actually, I didn't either until I thought about doing this assignment with my students, and I want to model for them what to do. So, but how thankful am I going to be that I have a recording like this now, and in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm going to be so thankful to have something like this. And so our students will leave with an ethnography and story of resilience as a part of this course. Next slide, please.
Hello, this is Dr. Jeff Kim.
And in addition to that, in addition to knowing their own story, they're also going to have a chance to learn about Korean American stories of resilience as well. And so you can see here that there are many Korean American stories of resilience. The Korean American story is a great American story. We have Tosan An Chung-ho or Colonel Young-ok Kim, Dr. Sammy Lee, even the LA civil unrest are examples, Korean American examples of stories of resilience. I'm just going to go ahead and share one for today. And that's of Colonel Young-ok Kim. He was the first minority to lead a combat battalion. He led the 442nd Regiment, who were made up of Japanese Americans. This was in World War II. And at this time, Japanese Americans had been incarcerated during World War II in the United States. And they made a battalion of just Japanese Americans. So they thought, who can be one of the leaders of this group? And so they thought about Colonel Young-ok Kim. And initially, when they asked Colonel Young-ok Kim, they were thinking, oh, he would be a good person to lead it. But when they found out that he was Korean, because they knew about the conflict at that time during World War II between Korea and Japan, and understandably, there was conflict between Korea and Japan at that time, they thought maybe Colonel Young-ok Kim, he's not going to be the right person to lead this Japanese American battalion. But when they asked him about it, this is what Colonel Young-ok Kim, a Korean American, said at that time. He said, I'm an American. These Japanese Americans, they are also Americans, and will fight as Americans. And so there's so much to learn from this story. This is a great Korean American story, and the great Korean American story is a great American story, because this really embodies what it means like to live in a multiracial America. I think there was Esther Park, you're asking like the cultural conflicts that are happening. By looking at individuals like Colonel Young-ok Kim, we can see, how did he respond to racism? How did he respond to bias? How did he have compassion in this situation during World War II at the time? There would be reason for him to be upset at that time, but instead he really embodies what it means to live in a multiracial America. And there are lessons there that can definitely apply to today as well. And there are many Korean American stories, and that's what we'll be looking at in this course. Next slide, please. In fact, this course will consist of 5 different parts. The first part will be to help students know and tell their stories, like we mentioned. The second part will be looking at Korean American history from the early 1903 all the way to today. This year, we are celebrating 120 years of Korean Americans in the United States of America. And so we'll be being able to create a timeline of that history. Part 3 will be looking at Korean American stories of resilience, like Colonel Young Kim, but there are many Korean Americans that made a great difference for Korean Americans, but not just Korean Americans, all Americans. The part 4 will be creating a virtual museum where students will have the opportunity to curate these stories. By the time they finish this course, they will be in the top 1% of individuals who know about Korean American history. And they will not just be learning, they will be the ones that are creating this museum in this in the first Korean American studies course, high school level course in the United States. They'll also be having the opportunity to be docents of this place. So you can imagine them sharing about these stories to elementary school students, to high school students, to other community members. And then lastly, part 5, a civic action and college and career connection. They're going to have the opportunity to do something good with their story, community service, as they identify their story and their passion and their interest. They're going to do something with this. And this is, of course, wonderful for college because many universities these days are asking, and they're not taking the SAT score, right? They're not really looking at the SAT score. What are they looking at? They're looking at, tell me your story, tell me your purpose, tell me your identity. How have you served your community? What if they wrote in their college application, they wrote something about taking this first ever Korean American ethnic studies course in the United States, talking about their story, talking about their family story, and then doing something good in their community as a result of this story of resilience. Wouldn't that be a powerful college essay? Wouldn't that be a powerful action? And once again, it's not about just getting into college, but that's a benefit. But the real benefit is being able to find, once again, their own identity, as the Korean consulate was mentioning, being able to know your identity, do something good with your own story. That's very powerful. And then find your purpose and meaning as well through this course. This course is SS 991P, but let's go ahead and let's go to the next slide. So much support for this course once again. If you were to click on this Padlet, support from the Asian American Pacific Islander Caucus, Council of Korean Americans, UCI, UCLA, so many different places. In addition to some news and media as well. Next slide, please.
Dr. Kim, why don't you mention that on 15th, the national network NBC will cover the story?
That's right. So earlier you saw the NBC news coverage of our course, and that was so excited to hear that it's receiving that kind of international attention. But also in our national media here in the United States, NBC Universal connected with our AAPI month. They're very interested in doing a story on this. So on Monday, we'll be gathering at Cambridge Virtual Academy, and they'll be doing a story, a national story, on this Korean American Studies course as well. We'll definitely need to share that link with this group, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe some additional news stories will come out of this course, but it will be your students sharing your work on national news. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens. Let's go to the next slide, please. So these are some common questions that I've received regarding our CVA e-learning course, and I'll answer some of the questions here, but then if there are additional questions, please put them in the chat and we'll go through them in the last portion of this, which will include a Q&A portion. Some have asked, what time will this class be? And so the time of this class will be on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. So it will not interfere with your child's regular school day or after school programming. So it's like later in the evening, and it will be completely virtual. So we will meet synchronously on Mondays. I will be the teacher, we will be in that space, but then also the students will meet asynchronously, but on their own time. But it will be at 7:30 on Mondays, so that does not interfere with the school day. Is this an honors class? Because I know that many parents were feeling like this is very important for as they're applying for colleges and things like that, and having that weight. And so I asked the superintendent, I asked Amanda Bean, can we make this an honors class? And they said, yes, we can make this an honors class as long as there's a culminating type of event. And this virtual museum is a culminating type of activity, which is good for your students in multiple ways, but also allows it to be an honors level course. And so that's our plan, to make it an honors level course. Another question that was asked is, does this meet the ethnic studies requirement for graduation? As you know, our students will need to meet the ethnic studies requirement for graduation. So they will be taking an ethnic studies course. So does this Korean American Studies course meet the ethnic studies requirement? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, it does meet the ethnic studies requirement for Anaheim Union High School District. Does this course meet any of the A through G requirements for the UC system? And so yes, it does meet and will meet the G requirement of the UCs. Can students outside of Anaheim Union High School Districts take this course? Yes, students, we're gonna open this class as long as there's gonna be a limit to how many students can take this course, but as long as it reaches that limit, then yes, students outside of Anaheim Union High School District can take this course for audit, which means they're taking this course and it's not Anaheim that gives the credit. But what would happen is if you did want the credit, and I would think you would want the credit because it's like honors and all that G requirement as well. We are ready to give you a letter that you can take to your own district, but it's really up to them to decide whether they give credit or not. And are there any other ways that this course is going to help with college admissions? Once again, college isn't everything, but I know that our parents are very interested in this, which is why I keep on talking about this. First of all, this is the first Korean American Studies course in the United States. In their college application, they could write about how they made history. They are making history with this course. That is a great story. That's what college admissions officers do. They look at all the applications and they're looking, does something stand out? Is there an interesting story? This is a very interesting story, I think. And then also it's an opportunity for students to then grow in their passion, their purpose, their story, their interest in civic action. And maybe in some other classes, they might not have the opportunity to kind of think about this as much, but in our class, we're definitely gonna give them so much room to think about this because that's a part of the assignment itself. So at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the Q&A and see if there's any questions that we might have. Esther, are there any questions that are popping out that you want to moderate?
Yes, the Julia will help for the questions. She already putting in the questions in English so that you can answer. So Julia.
Okay,
So,
I see the questions. Okay, here's that first one. I'm saying, my child is currently taking Korean language course, and wouldn't the curriculum overlap? Students from that class seem to go over Korean history, and I'm afraid it will be redundant. So Julia, that's a very great question. And I think sometimes there's the confusion between Korean history, which is very important. I value the 4,000 years of Korean history. I think it's very important to know. And there definitely is a connection to Korean American history, but that's Korean history. So this is Korean American history, especially from 1900s on. And it's the first in the United States, so different in many ways. Is this for high schoolers? MJ is asking, is this for high schoolers? My daughter became an 8th grader. It'd be nice too if she takes it with older kids. Will it be too hard if she takes it with older kids? You are correct, MJ. It is a high school class. I'm sure your daughter would do fine, but it is rated for 9th through 12th. 9th through 12th, MJ, I'm sure your daughter's amazing. She would do great in my class. And I would support every student to win and succeed in this class. And she would get a lot out of it, even as 8th grader. But it is a 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th class. So if she's an 8th grader this year, she could definitely sign up for it next year as well. So just to let you know that. Let's see. Gina Park, is there any prerequisite classes like a Korean language class to take this class? No prerequisites at all. If you're a 9th grader, 10th grader, 11th, 12th in the Anaheim Union High School District, you can take this class and receive all the benefits and credit. But even if you're outside of Anaheim Union High School District, we are offering it for audit. And it's up to your district to decide if they want to give the credit. And we hope so, but that's up to your district. Let's see. My daughter is in 8th grade at Oxford. She's currently taking Korean 3 and planning to take Korean 4 in her 9th grade year. She wanted to take this course. She visited her counselor to add the course. Have the counselor told her she had to first take Korean 4 first, which I don't understand. Can you please verify? Maybe I'm gonna have Ruben answer that one, but my understanding is they're two completely unrelated courses. I'm so glad your daughter is, by the way, taking Korean 1, 2, 3, 4. It's wonderful for our students to be plurilingual, moving between English and Korean, Korean to English, and going back and forth. In fact, I would love to hear some of these stories in Korean, you going back and forth and translating as I kind of modeled as well a little bit. But I don't see why a student couldn't take this Korean American Studies course. But I'm gonna hand it over to Ruben. Is there any issue in your thoughts why that might be the case or couldn't be the case?
I'm wondering, because your course is new, if there might be some confusion because your course is not a Korean language course. So a Korean language class, like what's being mentioned here, is not a prerequisite for any student to take your course. In fact, any student, like you said, can take your course, and you don't have to speak Korean to take your Korean American course. So that just may be some confusion with one of the counselors. And again, it's new, and maybe it's just a little slip up that needs to be clarified.
Dr. Kim and
Thank you,
Ruben,
Ruben.
Ruben, I think parents needs to understand that in order to graduate in high school in California, they have to take ethnic studies. And some courses are approved for the ethnic studies, but right now some of the world language isn't approved for the ethnic studies. So they have to take this course in order to graduate. I think that's need to be clarified for the parents. How do you think?
Well, in Anaheim Union High School District, in the spring of 2021, our school board made a graduation requirement of ethnic studies for the class of 2026, and those are our current 9th graders. So that group, and then all the students who are after them, our current 8th and 7th graders, they have to take in high school a course that meets the ethnic studies graduation requirement. Dr. Kim's course does do that. Now, we do have some other courses that have been created that'll be available next year. And we do have some that were created in the last year. So there are different options in order to meet that graduation requirement. But again, as Dr. Kim has shared, his course is definitely unique, the first of its kind. And again, if a student does take his course, they will meet that requirement. For the UC, it's a G class, but they're also meeting the Anaheim Union High School District's ethnic studies requirement. Now, again, that requirement is only for our current 9th graders. But I think if a current 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, or a student who will be, if they take this course, it'll be a wonderful course and they'll learn a lot. And yeah, I think it's a plus for all of our students.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is that all the research also shows that students who do take ethnic studies courses do better in all of their classes. So it uplifts students in many ways.
And also this is for the different category. It's among the A through G, it's a G category, not the world
Correct.
language category, right?
Correct.
예, 그리고 이제 이것은 A through G에서 언어와 이 ethnic study는 완전히 그 캐테고리가 달라요. 언어는 이거는 G 캐테고리에 해당하는 거고, 언어는 베파랑 같이 아마 속하는 걸로 제가 알고 있어요. 그래서 이 캐테고리 자체가 다릅니다. A through G에서. And also there's the parent who sent me, couldn't participate, but sent me the question. It says, now we got the course, the code. Who do they have to request for this course to add to their schedule? And when is the last due date? That's another question.
That's a great question. So once again, the course code is SS 991P. And you'd want to take this to your counselor and let them know that you want to enroll in this e-learning course. Once again, it's at 7:30 p.m., so it shouldn't interfere with any of the school day or events. It's something that they could take later. Also, we have Esther here who could support you as well, making sure that you get that course. But the first person you should talk to is your school counselor. And then, and I see this also connected with another question. My child's schedule is full with 6 classes and there's no room for a change. Could we take the course as a 7th class on the schedule and still receive the credit and the grades? And Ruben, you might want to touch on that as well. But my understanding is yes, because this is not within the school day. So you got your 6 classes in the school day, and then this would happen later. So if your child is the type of child that would feel comfortable taking 7 classes, then definitely it's an option for them. Ruben, any thoughts on that?
Well, again, as you shared, if they have any questions, they should talk to the lead counselor at your school site. Again, tell them you want to sign up for the course. You see the course number there. At the same time, if you don't feel like you're getting the answer you want, another option would be reaching out to Karina Bradford. She is our counselor on special assignment. So I'll put her name in the chat. And let's see, her email as well. And then, so another person you could speak to is our director in charge of CPSF, but she also works with our master schedulers, and her name is Amanda Bean, and I'm putting her email in the chat. So with regards, if it could be like an additional course on their schedule, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. I would, again, talk to the site counselor or talk to the 2 individuals who I've put their names in the chat so you could get a more definitive answer.
그리고 만약에 추가적인 그런 질문이 있으시면은 옥스퍼드 부모님들은 직접 카운슬러랑 연결하기가 어려우시면 언어적인 것 때문에 저한테 보내주셔도 되고, 사이프러스는 항상 줄리아 선생님, 그리고 케네디 부모님은 윤희 선생님께 질문하는 걸 도와달라고 하시면은 저희들이 도와드리겠습니다. 옥스퍼드는 저에게 줄리아 선생님 잠깐 손 웨이브 해주세요. 사이프러스 부모님은 우리 줄리아 선생님께, 그리고 케네디 워커는 윤희 선생님께 해주시게 하면 되겠습니다. 언어적인 지원이 필요하신 분은 그렇게 하시면 되겠습니다.
Esther, any other questions that you saw in the chat that we should highlight?
I think Julia did almost everything.
I do see a hand up in
yeah.
the.
There is one. So that, like, if student take this class, but there is any sports activity for that certain the day of the week, or that they have a game, can they be excused to the make of work later on?
Sure. I currently teach an e-learning course right now. It's world history. And, definitely we want the students to be in class on that day because we don't have many in-person classes. But at the same time, we also record the study as well. And although that doesn't replace the interactions that they'll have during that time, it is an option as well. So there's an optional activity. If for some reason on that one day there was, a conflict, there's an optional activity of watching the recording and answering some questions, things like that, and you would get the class credit. But if the student will not be able to make the class consistently, then I don't know if I would recommend that approach. But if it's just 1 time, 2 times, something like that, then that is an option for them.
There was a parent named Lydia that had raised her hand, she removed it. Are you still here? Do you need to ask questions? Lydia?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Lydia.
So yeah, I was the one who was asking about, her, my daughter talked to her counselor and then she said no, she couldn't take it. So are you guys planning to send out an like official email saying that, this course is nothing to do with the Korean language courses? Or should we just go to her counselor and then talk to her directly that it is okay to take it?
Lydia, I'm so glad that you asked that question, and I'm so sorry that that happened, that there was that confusion between this Korean American Studies class and Korean language, which is a totally different course.
Mhm.
And so thank you for sharing that, because maybe some other parents got the same response as well and didn't know about this offering. So I mentioned I would go maybe with a two-prong approach. So first, definitely, I think you can go with the code SS991P course code
Mhm.
to your counselor and have that appointment. But also, I'm thinking, Esther, maybe we have a group of parents here. We can send an email out again, just letting them know about this course with some of the details and information, so that they can
Okay.
also have that email too. I think that might be helpful. What do you think, Esther?
I think it's because this is a new course, so that not every counselor fully understand how it works. So if the department, like Ruben, you can send out that this doesn't need any pre-acquisition classes to the counselor, and this doesn't overlaps with the current schedule. So and
Yeah, so
district is
I
approved.
thought maybe she was confused with the Korean level 5, the Korean film study class
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
I
And then
think
my
that letter will be
Mhm.
necessary to send out the official letter.
I see another question here from Jung Kim. He says, my kid becoming a 12th grader has been taking the usual history courses such as world history and US history. And that's wonderful. Our world history, US history classes are amazing. But oftentimes they don't discuss at all Korean American history. So if I were to ask students, even graduating from our schools, could you name 3 Korean Americans that made a difference? Or 2 Korean Americans that made a difference in this country? Or even 1 Korean American that made a difference in this country? Even our own students may not be leaving with that information, even though they might have received a lot of history. So this course is going to address that. We're going to have that Korean American Studies course. So in it, we do cover history, but the lens through which we look at history is through Korean American history. That's why this is so special and a first in the United States. And I recommend this definitely before leaving for college, that your child, and I think it's great actually as a 12th grader too. I think coming in as a 9th grader, that's wonderful because students are asking that question, who am I? But your 12th grader is about to apply for colleges. And so this course is going to help them thinking about themselves, their story, their direction, their purpose, their plan, and have a lot to talk about in their college application. So, and it's more important than the college application. I'm just mentioning that because I know that's important for a lot of families. So yeah, I think this is a great course also for 12th graders as well.
Maybe I can answer John Kim's question because I have a niece who graduated UC Berkeley, and all those years she was just like one of the American. But when she got into the college, people starting to see her as a Korean American. She doesn't speak Korean, and she reached out to me asking, "Auntie, like they see me as a Korean. I feel so ashamed that I don't speak Korean and I don't know anything about Korean." So that was really powerful question that she asked me. So she's starting to call me when she was in Berkeley and asking me about here and there, what's Korean, being meaning of the Korean, meaning of the being a Korean, and what's the like a significant like historical moment of Korean. She was asking that. So that probably when they go to the larger fund, probably people will identify your child as a Korean American, and they will ask they'll ask question about her being or he being a Korean. So I think it's especially for 12th grade, I think it's great course to take.
I love what you mentioned, Esther, this idea of knowing your own Korean American story.
Mhm.
Because when you know your own Korean American story, your parents' story, your parents' parents' story, other Korean Americans who made a difference in the United States, then I think that gives you a sense of resilience and strength as you move forward. But if you couldn't even name one Korean American that made a difference in this country and you didn't even know your own story, sometimes it's not like null. It's like some students I know feel a sense of shame when they can't even name one. And we don't want our students leaving with that. We want our students leaving with a story of resilience, because there's a great story of resilience in you. All of you have a great Korean American story, which is a great American story of resilience. And I hope when your children take this course, you're going to just open yourself up and share your story with them. My hope is also there's going to be a greater connection between families. Sometimes the connection can be strengthened, but sometimes they're not as strong because of the many differences, language barriers, experiences, and so forth. So my hope is that this course is going to also strengthen the experience and relationship between you and your child, and also your parents as well.
We have only 2 minutes left for the end of the session. There's a last question that Julia translated and put it on the chat.
My child is a rising 10th grader who is planning on taking ethnic studies embedded Spanish course next year. Could he additionally take ethnic studies additionally? First of all, I think it's wonderful that they're learning another language, Spanish. That's wonderful. Some of these language courses are also embedding the ethnic studies requirement. That's wonderful. And yes, you can take additional ethnic studies classes, including Korean American studies. So the answer is yes.
But if it's class, the schedule is full, that they can take it next year too, right?
Yes, so we are offering it this year, and we hope to offer it in the future as well. And I just can't tell you, Esther, I'm just kind of listening to all the families here. There's so many parents still online, even after an hour. There's a lot of interest here. I just appreciate our parents for just coming out and getting some information on this course, because you know that it can benefit your students. And Esther, appreciate your support as well from the district.
Well, it is such an honor to be a part of this wonderful historical moment of launching a high school course. This is something that you cannot count in every day. And thank you so much for including me, and Julia and Uni being a great support for this program. And thank you for participating, Mr. Patino. And it is good to see you online and representing you as a Korean and among the Korean parents. 어머님 안녕. So what is the due date? When is the due date? Last day of the
Sure.
requesting this course?
Sure. So I know the dates for choosing the courses has already passed, but you can still sign up for this course though. So what you want to do is reach out to the counselor, and I would say as soon as possible. If the course fills up to capacity, then we would close the door.
이제 중요한 것은 여러분들 이미 이제 수강 신청하는 기간은 지났는데 여전히 이걸 참석하실 수 있거든요. 그래서 가능한 한 빨리 카운슬러에 가셔서 이 코र्스를 들여서 신청을 하시기 바랍니다. 왜냐하면은 이 코र्스는 인원수가 정해져 있기 때문에 그 인원수가 다 차면 이제 그 마감이 되거든요. 그래서 가능한 한 빨리 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. What is the capacity?
Ruben, is the capacity about 36 for high school, is it? But there's already some students signed up. There's some more students coming in. So once we hit that capacity, that will be the max number.
예, 36명이 지금 정원인데 이미 이제 신청한 학생들이 있기 때문에 가능한 한 빨리 움직여 주셔야 될 것 같습니다. Okay, also, so Mr. Henry asking if if I can share this PPT with the parent who participated here.
Yes, let's go ahead and share that. And also, we didn't really play the whole video or anything like that, but there's some additional videos in there. If you're interested, you can definitely see more.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, 예, 어머님 그렇습니다. 옥스퍼드 먼저 카운슬러를 모든 학교에서 다 카운슬러를 먼저 만나셔서 드리시면 되겠습니다. 여러분들 오늘 참석해 주셔서 너무 감사드립니다. Dr. Kim, thank you for wonderful presentation and this wonderful historical opportunity, and congratulations on your successful journey. And if there's anything we can do to support you, just let us know.
Well, I'm just doing my small part of authoring this course and teaching this course, but I want to say each one of you are making history for the United States as well, of being in this first Korean American Studies course. Whether it's our parents, your children, you are all making a difference in launching this course, because no doubt as we launch this course, there's going to be greater opportunity for schools all across our country. But you can remember that you were a part of our first class.
감사합니다. 여러분도 오늘 참석해 주셔서 감사드립니다. Bye everybody. 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요.